This week on Arizona Illustrated, a rodeo veteran chases the gold buckle at the Tucson Rodeo. What it takes to be a rescuer. The man that helped introduce the Southwest to itself, Big Jim Griffith. And there's nothing like the Tucson Rodeo Parade from the vault. Welcome to Arizona Illustrated. I'm Tom McNamara. It's late February in Tucson, and that means rodeo. And this year, La Fiesta de los Vaqueros is celebrating 90 years of bronc and bull riding, roping, and wrestling. In this story, we catch up with 29-year-old bull rider Steve Woolsey, who grew up on a farm in Benjamin, Utah. Woolsey said he's grateful for the Western way of life that led him down this path and wouldn't have it any other way.
Tucson Rodeo. Say hello to ladies we call quadrilles.
It keeps us busy. I'll probably go from anywhere to 100 to 120 rodeos this year. Life on the road is awesome. You're traveling around from rodeo to rodeo, town to town, with some of your best buddies, and every time you show up to a rodeo, you get to see everybody that you've become friends with and everybody that you know throughout the years. My name's Steve Woolsey. I'm 28 years old and I'm from Payson, Utah. I've been riding bulls professionally for 10 years. That's how I make my money. I've been awfully lucky in the sport. The first year as a professional, I ended up second in the world behind Matt Austin. 2.5 years ago, I had a bull step on my hips and tear my groin completely off of my pelvis, and I had to have it reattached. That's kind of been my last battle that I've been trying to overcome. This is a sports medicine trailer. The sports medicine trainers are awesome. They travel from rodeo to rodeo and take their trailers. Basically, when we get hurt, they keep us together and keep us going down the road. You have to compete when you are injured, because if we don't win, we're not making any money. If you have to get on when you're sore or injured, you just try to put it in the back of your mind and try not to think about it.
Help him, help him!
The bulls are trying to beat you. That's the biggest battle is trying to beat that bull and match him jump for jump, basically, and beat him through the 8 seconds.
Hey, they're gonna pay him for it too. It's an 81-point ride. 81. We're in the 80s again.
8 seconds, I mean, you could walk from here to the end of the trailer in 8 seconds and be no big deal, but when you're on the back of something that's trying to throw you off, it's a little different story. Mentally, you know that your body is prepared and ready for whatever that bull does. So you just basically try to shut your mind off and just let it react. The bull I'm getting on is 928 Monkey Suit. I'm gonna try to ride him jump for jump. After you nod your head, you're really not thinking. It's a reaction. He jumped out there the first one and then really blew up the second one and kicked, and I think he realized that I was still on him and he didn't like it, and he just went to kind of throwing his head. And then I think he was trying to hook me more than buck. but I made the whistle and got a score. I don't even know what they scored me. See if it's good enough to come back to the short round. And everything felt good today, so I'm happy. I just kind of raised into it. My dad rode bulls in high school when he was younger, and my older brother rode bulls professionally, and I just kind of took up the reins after him. When we were younger, my dad had about 20 to 30 head of brood mares and raised mule colts and horse colts. My mom, Dana, she passed away a little over a year ago. She knew what we were getting into. When she was younger, she was a racehorse jockey and ran barrels, so she was around it. Probably wasn't what she wanted us to do, but once we started going towards that, and I think she could see how much we loved it, she just told us to go get the money. I know she's still with me. That helps me quite a bit. It's never easy when you lose somebody, but she was an awfully good mom.
777 is that bull?
If I had any advice for a young bull rider, it would be to keep your head down and know where you're wanting to get and make goals towards that and stay focused. And don't get caught up in all the other mumbo jumbo, I guess.
Great job.
228 pit bull, Benny Butler's. I've never been on him, seen him a few times. You know, I hate to say, he could do backflips for all I know. Should be a good draw. Everybody's different, and the reason why I keep doing it, it's what I love to do, and it gives me a lot of freedom in life. Almost be like I was quitting myself if I didn't keep riding. Just squirted out of there and no kick. I tried to get him gathered back up, but he just was away from me. Today was the short round of the rodeo, which the top 12 come back to the short round. And they bucked me off today and didn't end up getting any money. What's your name, bud? I would have liked to have done better. Gather my stuff up and go to the next one. Try to get in there. The only thing that I haven't accomplished that I really want to do in my career is win the World Championship and get the gold buckle.
The 2015 La Fiesta de los Vaqueros runs through March 1st at the Tucson Rodeo grounds. And Steve Woolsey is still chasing that gold buckle and will be competing in Tucson again this year. So get out there and cheer for him and all of the other cowboys and cowgirls. Stories of lost, stranded, or injured hikers abound in southern Arizona, but their rescuers are often forgotten. The all-volunteer Southern Arizona Rescue Association is made up of men and women from all walks of life who spend time training to step in when wilderness adventures go awry.
We'll bring them back over to you.
And 7082.
Okay, 7 KJ. Well, Mike's coming back later.
I went to his voicemail, so I'm just gonna go up to where Brian is right now, just watch the water level. I have a rock where it was, it's dropped.
Hey, it's Deputy Ramirez, Sheriff's Department. How are you? Good. I got a message here that you're looking for, I'm assuming, your wife. Okay. Have you heard back from her at all? We have some deputies that are making their way up there. We have not had verbal contact with these folks yet that are stuck on the other side of the washes, so as far as it being your wife, I don't know right now. So I just want to let you know as soon as I could about that. Where does she normally hike at?
On a winter day, 2 hikers are trapped by a torrent of rain.
That's where I think they are. That's where the guess is, right there.
Pima County Sheriff's Deputy Jeremy Ramirez
I copy that. I'm at
is
the
on the scene to manage the rescue.
Okay, yeah, you should be able to.
I'm with the search and rescue unit. Whether it be lost, injured hikers, walkaways, runaways, anything along the lines that we need, patrol needs our assistance and our specialty for. I didn't want to commit all of our resources in case for some reason things started rising and then we're all stuck on the other side. Given the fact that our search and rescue unit is only comprised of 8 deputies, we can't handle a lot of these calls on our own. We need help, we need assistance.
That's when the Sheriff's Department calls Sarah. The Southern Arizona Rescue Association is an all-volunteer group of men and women who train to rescue those in need. When someone is lost or injured in the wilderness, Sarah members come out to find and help them.
Typically have about 150 members, of whom 60 or 70 will be field qualified at a given time. It sounds like a very big group. When you're trying to carry a very heavy person out of the mountains, you need a very big group. Some pictures from some of those trainings, as you can see, working in the snow, working when it's excessively hot.
Jane Larkindale has been a Sarah rescuer for 11 years. She helps lead the group's selection and training process.
That's the very basics of search, technical rescue, the basic medical qualifications. That is what's required to become a field qualified member. That's going to take you about 70 hours. It's a big time commitment. After that, you have a minimum of 1 year of training and apprenticeship, and you're going to have a more advanced medical class if you don't already have an advanced medical qualification.
Would-be rescuers start by applying, and then some are invited on a hike that tests their fitness and teamwork.
Those are the experiences you'll take.
It's not like you get any grace period here. The day you go in the field,
It's real.
it's real.
From there, Sarah selects its trainees. On evenings and weekends over months, they learn to track, navigate,
Hey Greg, I'm with Search and Rescue as well. My name's CJ.
and tend to others in the toughest terrain.
Belay, ready to uprope? 1, 2, 3. Rotate clockwise.
They work through rescue scenarios in daylight and darkness, in dry deserts and snowy mountains,
Ready, haul team? Haul! Down rope blue.
as they prepare for the day when someone's life is really on the line.
All right. And...
All right, we're good.
So what we normally do at this point is we just sort of sit down, take a break, get some food and water. But
Eventually, they earn their yellow shirts and become candidate members who are eligible to go on calls with orange shirts, the more experienced members. They join a long line of rescuers with a history one Sarah member knows well.
Yeah, my name is Marvin Stafford, and I've been a longtime member of the Southern Arizona Rescue Association. The time of my working with them goes back to what I call the first search in November 1958.
Marvin was 16 years old when he took part in the first search. He joined hundreds of other Arizonans in looking for 3 missing Boy Scouts who disappeared on Mount Wrightson in a snowstorm and who were later found dead.
We know that they, in desperation, resorted to using the handle, the wooden handle of the axe, for firewood. So that was the way they went down that night. You know, there were so many problems in that first search. There was jurisdictional problems between Santa Cruz and Pima County. There was the mixture of Forest Service and other government, highway patrol, military guys, all trying to work together, and they just didn't work well together at all because they didn't have the experience. There wasn't somebody overall in charge with the proper knowledge of being able to pull off such a thing as that with all those people. So the next spring, the attitude was, we've got to get organized.
After a series of meetings,
2 hikers dropped a vehicle at Catalina State
Sarah
Park.
was born.
A hiker rolled her ankle a short
Over the
distance.
years, it has grown beyond what its founders envisioned.
so 50 years ago, it was a very small organization and a very informal organization. As time goes on, we're a bigger organization now. We have income coming in, we have a permanent headquarters which we have to maintain. So we've had to become a more formal organisation from the administrative side. Also, the world has become a much more formal place. We work for the Sheriff's Department, they have risk mitigation, they have protocols that we have to maintain, so it's become more formal from that perspective too. And so I think a lot of that has led to a more rigid, more structured environment.
I'll stay here. Okay. You need me back there. You ladies want to hop in and get a little bit warm? Yeah. And then I believe one of your husbands called earlier looking for you, so we told him where you were.
That change has been hard on some members, but it has made Sarah an integral part of emergency services in southern Arizona.
We work together a lot more. We do trainings together a lot more. There's more integration between the two agencies. You have to give them credit, they're volunteers. How many people would want to get called out from work, from home, middle of the day, summer 110 degrees, winter when it's 20 degrees, drive up to the top of the mountain, go help search from somebody at 9, 10 o'clock at night that you don't know. You gotta respect that.
Did you grow that basil?
For Jane Larkindale and her husband, who is also a SARA member, that balancing act includes 2 careers and raising a young daughter. But they say it's worth it, for what it gives the community and for what it gives them.
I think a lot of people decide to join because they want to help people. I think a lot of people join just because they're part of the outdoors community and think they can learn a lot, maybe make themselves safer out there. I think what keeps people in is the camaraderie, just loving to be out there, the sense of adventure, and also the adrenaline rush of you don't know what's going to happen. You might be going for a short walk or you might be out there for 12 hours and you just don't know. I think the people who survive thrive on that. You learn that you have reserves you didn't know you have. There was one occasion when I carried about 70 or 80 pound pack almost to the top of Mount Wrightson because we had a guy in a diabetic coma up there. Now, we didn't do anything. A helicopter took him away before we got there, but knowing that somebody's life might depend on you doing that, you can do it.
Like what you see on Arizona Illustrated? Visit our webpage at azpm.org to watch and share videos from this episode. You'll also find stories from future programs, an easy way to submit your own story idea, an archive of past episodes of Arizona Illustrated, and you'll find everything you need to stay connected with public broadcasting in southern Arizona. azpm.org. Dr. James S. Griffith is a renowned folklorist, scholar, author, teacher, researcher, television personality, a National Endowment for the Arts Heritage Fellow, and the co-founder of the Tucson Meet Yourself Folklife Festival. But it's his deeply personal approach toward understanding the diverse cultures of the Southwest and his professional commitment to respectfully and accurately sharing that knowledge that makes him warmly recognized throughout southern Arizona as Big Jim.
If someone were to ask you to define your community, to describe the place you call home and explain its flavor and character, you might mention the local environment and its landscape, different neighborhoods and their styles of architecture, and popular attractions that provide identity and color.
You want to hear the whole story? Of course, it was a good story then, it's a good story now.
For cultural anthropologist James Griffith, these attributes also provide a sense of place. But what best defines a community or region for him are its people, their stories, and their traditions. Griffith is a modern-day folklorist.
And that was all we needed.
Oh, wow.
Well, I didn't always know what to call it, but I'm interested in the stuff that's got depth and roots and genealogy and history, creativity, beauty, all those kinds of things. This is what's always interested me.
La Llorona, the weeping woman, could conceivably be in this area. Tucson was founded by guys like this, soldados de cuera, leather jacket soldiers. This particular southern Arizona tradition is also an ancient Mexican tradition.
James Griffith, PhD, is much better known as Big Jim Griffith. He is 6 feet 7 inches tall and a compelling figure in the world of Sonoran desert culture. It is more than an interest, actually. It is a passion that spans several decades.
There are dozens of stories hot off the comal.
For more than 20 years, Big Jim Griffith hosted Southern Arizona Traditions on KUAT's Arizona Illustrated, addressing topics such as history, food, and people's narratives. Along the way, he acknowledged and saluted a segment of the population that has been here for centuries, yet was frequently in the background.
Fully half of the people who came up and talked to me about how they liked the segments did so in Spanish. A lot of working class Mexicanos watched KUAT. So it struck me that one thing I was doing as a favor for that population is showing public respect, enjoyment, and appreciation for regional culture, and in this particular case, Mexican culture.
Well, for me, he's always been an inspiration in the way that he treats people. You know, I like the way he treats people. I like the way he gets along with people, and I think he's a really good ambassador for Tucson and the Sonora Desert in general.
I've seen experiences with everyday people who may not have otherwise been validated for the work that they do, and I think validation is something that's really incredibly important.
And that has always impressed me about him is the authenticity of his relationship with the people that he studied and served and documented. And they love him for that authenticity. They know that it comes from the heart.
When you're talking about Southern Arizona traditions, be sure to include the Itoiki.
I think Jim has been, for the man in the street, for the regular people of Tucson, someone who has interpreted all of our customs to us.
We're at one of Tucson's most interesting places as far as I'm concerned. It's right at the corner.
In addition to the segments on television, Big Jim has also attended thousands of festivals, lectures, and other events, and he has written countless articles and books. In 1974, he co-founded Tucson Meet Yourself. The annual gathering of more than 100,000 people is a cause for intercultural celebration in a world that is often depicted as divided and violent.
It's the ugly quite often that makes the news and gets the articles, and what sells. Beauty is something that really needs to be celebrated. We're pretty good at ugly, but we're also pretty good at beauty.
And Griffith's work has left a lasting impression in the community, from strangers and friends to peers and other professionals he inspires.
Jim is a visionary and a groundbreaker in ways that were so subtle, so simple, so intrinsic to the aesthetics and practices of everyday life that many people, I think, miss the radical edge that his propositions had.
What you have in Jim is a rare combination of ethnographers or anthropologists' keen eye for details and an abiding love of the people with whom he lives and curiosity about people with whom he doesn't live.
He's a gifted guy, brilliant, intellectual, self-effacing about that, and he won't own up to that, but he's a legend and he's iconic.
And he's also fun.
I think at one point in time in a story he told me while we were in Mexico together was that to do really good, you need to learn skills to be a folklorist, but to really meet people you have to be willing to belly up to the bar.
It's been a memorable trajectory for a kid who was born in Santa Barbara, California and grew up in Pasadena. After graduating from high school, Big Jim moved to Tucson in 1955 to study archaeology at the University of Arizona. However, he discovered an affinity for cultures and the border region, and the rest, as they say, is history. When he moved back to California for a few years to teach, Jim met Loma in 1961, and they were married 2 years later. Throughout the years, she has been a supportive and committed partner, even though she's usually off to the side somewhere while Jim is dealing with the functions or crowds.
Well, I introduce her either as my keeper, my parole officer, or my probation officer. I will say that she indeed is a keeper. And I will say that just about everything that I've been able to do, she's had a serious hand in.
And that teamwork has touched countless lives across international boundaries, socioeconomic backgrounds, and ethnicities. Griffith says his recipe is simple: appreciation, enjoyment, and respect for others.
I love getting people together, and I love talking about our regional culture. There was an old cowboy who lived in Clay Springs who once said, well, if there were any other place I'd rather be, I would have gone there. And I feel that way about Tucson. This is an exciting place to be. And the more I find out about it, the more exciting it gets.
And now we return to the rodeo. Ever since the first La Fiesta de los Vaqueros in 1925, citizens, businesses, and local groups have pulled on their boots, saddled up their horses, and hitched up their buggies to take part in or line the route of the Tucson Rodeo Parade, as they did in 1984 from the vault.
It was a warm and sunny Tucson day today, the rain and cold of last year's parade long forgotten. A large and enthusiastic crowd turned on to cheer on the entries that made up the 1984 Tucson Rodeo Parade. It is, of course, the world's longest non-mechanized parade, and by non-mechanized we mean that everything that passes by is either walking on 2 legs or 4. Almost 400 entries this year made up the 59th annual Fiesta de los Vaqueros. The rodeo day, of course, is a holiday in Tucson. Schools are closed so that children can enjoy the festivities and get into that special feeling.
A reminder that you can watch all of our stories on our webpage, azpm.org. We'll be taking a bit of a break over the next few weeks, then back in March with all new stories. Thanks for joining us on Arizona Illustrated. I'm Tom McNamara. See you then.